Okay, there we go. So starting over again, welcome everybody. And as you're joining, please go ahead and put your name and location into the chat. We can't wait to see who is on with us today. So go ahead and put your name and location there so we can welcome you. And again, I'm here with Patricia, Awyan, Lehman. Welcome, Patricia. Always a joy to be with you.
Hi, Jocelyn. Hi, everyone. So happy to be here. It's going to be fun.
And
this isn't a funky pillow behind me. That's one of my cats.
I love it. I love it. It looks so comfortable. Now, and what is that cat's name?
That one's Zoe. Yeah.
Zoe. So Zoe.
I have Jasper right here in front of me and Zoe behind me. They awesome. Never leave my side.
It will be part of our call today. That is awesome. So yeah, let me welcome everybody who is putting their info in the chat. Let's see. Sorry, Zoom is different today. Their settings are different here and it's not showing me what I normally see. There we go. All right. Welcome, Michelle in Florida. Welcome, Carrie in New York. Welcome, Julian in Switzerland. Welcome, Jennifer in Pennsylvania. Welcome, Joanne in Minneapolis. Andre in South Africa. Glad to have you here. Welcome, Karen in Oregon. Lynn in Washington. Carrie in Chula Vista, California. Wonderful. I'm sure we'll have more people continuing to come in. So welcome everybody. Welcome Bianca in Cork.
Bianca.
Yay. So glad to have you all here. Well, I will share my screen and we will get started with some really fascinating astrology. So let me just put this initial screen up here so you can see the dates of our tour and a little bit more about it. And this is our big announcement today. And there we are together at Hatshepsut's temple. So Patricia and I are going to be leading a tour that is called Egypt, the Rise of the Winged Kheper, from March 10th to March 23rd, 2023. And one thing I think is so cool, Patricia, is that we're meeting on the equinox today.
Yes, I know. I meant to say something about that.
On the equinox. It's so cool. So
really incredible.
So happy equinox, everybody. Autumn if you're in the northern hemisphere, and spring if you're in the southern hemisphere. And so we are just thrilled to be working together on this. And I have attended 3 of Patricia's tours now, and her wisdom and depth of knowledge that she brings forward is just incredible, beyond anything you could imagine. And so I am thrilled to be collaborating with her. And so she is going to be providing the temple tours and all of the mystical updates. And Patricia, if you want to say anything more about that, I know you'll go into it more with your slides.
Yeah, we're going to go into, we're going to show you pictures of the different temples and we'll talk about our experiences. But yeah, I'm going to tell you, I've lived in Egypt now for 14 years. It's hard to believe, and spent almost all of that time researching, studying at the temples, not at the temples. I mean, this is just what drives my soul, is everything ancient Egypt. Yes, I visit other countries, but I feel that so much stems from ancient Egypt throughout the world. And I actually believe ancient Egypt was basically, Kemet was the entire earth at one time. And then we divide out into all these separated cultures and civilizations and countries and the borders. It's sort of that Tower of Babel situation. But there's such a heritage that's found in Egypt that you will find all over the world. So we're gonna feel the power of the sites and the temples, and there's just so much. But we're gonna let Jocelyn get started first to tell us why we chose these dates, because she spent a lot of time working this out, because we wanted to do this for quite some time, and she found the dates, and she's going to tell us why it's such the absolute perfect time to have this powerful experience.
It really is. It really is. You guys are all going to be blown away by the astrology of this time. So happy equinox. As we said already, the equinox is going to be exact today. So this is a time to bring harmonization and balance back into our lives as the sun is coming to its point of equal balance in the heavens. So that is the invitation for this time. And we hope that you will join us. 6 months from now at the next equinox. There's a little bit about me here, but I've been a student of astrology since 2010 and a practicing astrologer since 2017. And I'm just in awe of how the sacred architectural structure of the earth and cosmos and our bodies is so interlinked and interwoven in all that we can read from astrology. It's truly incredible. And the events that are happening for us in the world right now are such a precise reflection of the astrology. Of course, they always are. But with everything that you're going through right now, because we're all going through so much, it is all happening up in the cosmos, and we are so interwoven with that sacred architecture that, of course, then it is happening through all of us. So there's deep, deep guidance to help us thrive, even when things are crazy and chaotic as they have been this year. And so let's just look at how the astrology is going to be while we're together in Egypt. So we're going to begin the tour very close to the full moon in Virgo. We're starting the tour on March 10th. The full moon in Virgo will be on March 7th. And this full moon opens up a portal. It opens up a window, highlighting being in sacred service to life, the mysteries, and the earth. This is what Virgo is all about. And honoring the sacred with humility and with reverence. There's also going to be a really dreamy, visionary, imaginative air and sensibility to this time together. So it will be really, really exciting to share our dreams and visions throughout the time and see what messages arrive to guide us. But what's fascinating about this full moon in Virgo and then the Sun, Mercury, and Neptune together in Pisces, all of that together is going to open up easy access for us to receive communications from the unseen realms and from other dimensions as we travel through the temples, as we travel through these different incredibly amazing and mysterious places in Egypt, so that we can speak our truths about what we see, so that we can really share from the heart with a group of like-minded souls who are all, here together on this journey through the liminal dimensions, and really open up to the magic and mystery within the temples. So it's just going to be extremely powerful. And you'll notice that we're starting this tour on the full moon and ending it on the new moon. This is very purposeful as well, because this is going to allow us to really connect most fully with the mystery realms that Egypt represents. And so this is an invitation into the depths of the profound knowledge that the ancient Egyptians held about the mysteries of life and death. And this will be a revelatory resurrection journey. I know we will all be transformed and really open up to our highest self and highest potential as we travel together during March 2023. Now, this is really the headliner event of our time together, Venus and the North Node coming together. Venus and the North Node will come together exact on March 20th, 21st, and 22nd. So that will be near the end of our tour. The whole tour from March 10th to 23rd, Venus will be getting closer and closer to the North Node, and this is really significant. So Venus represents love, beauty, relationships, a much more slow and easy and relaxed approach to life. The North Node represents our collective future as we come together as humanity. Now, the interesting thing is that in 2022, and what we're still experiencing very strongly right now as we're recording this, and this energy had its epicenter in July and August of 2022, Uranus and Mars came together with the North Node in Taurus. Now, that's very different than Venus coming together with the North Node, all right? Uranus and Mars bring elements of shock and surprise and acceleration of the pace. I'm sure you've all felt this. Time has been speeding up just beyond recognition. This has brought severe health challenges for many people and a divisive and separation-based attitude from leaders on a global scale. That was Uranus and Mars with the North Node in 2022. What we will be moving into with Venus and the North Node coming together in March of 2023 will be a breath of fresh air. It will be completely the opposite of that, a very different experience. So this is going to bring a much more calm and relaxed sensibility to the world. It will bring beauty and love into our lives, a feeling of abundance and blessings. And we're going to have this feeling of, oh my gosh, I finally, for the first time in forever, I feel like I can slow down and enjoy my life. that will be the energy. So as we're walking through the temples, Venus will be with us, and she will be in deep connection to the future, the collective future of humanity, the new world that we are all building and birthing together at this time. She will be coming in and adding beauty and joy and a much more relaxed feeling to all of it. So it's going to be just incredible. It's going to be a really big shift that we will feel and be able to enjoy so much during the tour. And then these outer planet transits are it's just extraordinary that these are both happening in March. So the outer planets are really guiding us on a revolutionary collective journey at this time. As you know, for example, we had the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction at 0 degrees of Aquarius in December 2020 that kind of kicked off the whole portal that we're in right now. Well, Saturn, first of all, is one of those outer planets. And Saturn represents discipline and hard work and form and structure. What are we building? And how can we make sure we build it with the highest quality? Now, Saturn has been in Aquarius since December 2020. Okay, quite a long time. And Saturn on March 7th, 2023 is going to move into Pisces. Pisces is the sign of dreams and vision and imagination and oneness and compassion. So this is a very different energy. So as Saturn enters Pisces, this is going to carry the energy of a deep, deep knowledge that our dreams, our visions, our imaginations are not just, ethereal. They're not just kind of fleeting. They are really important for how we're going to build and welcome in the new world. And they're going to support us, all right, in manifesting the mysteries and the unforeseen forces of nature into form, okay? And so this is really about building the new world. And Saturn then is going to continue to be supporting us in Pisces in this way from March 2023 until February 2026. So this is the initiation of a whole new 3-year cycle with Saturn in Pisces. Not only that, but Pluto. Now, Pluto has been in Capricorn since 2008. And we have seen, the crash of the stock market that happened in 2008, many, many significant changes in the world and in the very basis of what we consider solid and consider the structure of our world since 2008. So in March 23rd, 2023, just at the end of our tour, Pluto is going to move from that long transit in Capricorn into Aquarius. And so Pluto at that time, March 23rd, will be at the exact 0 degree point where Jupiter and Saturn had their grand conjunction in December of 2020. So this is incredible because Pluto represents the unseen realms, the mysteries, initiations, the shamanic realms. And so as Pluto enters Aquarius, this is going to bring the unseen, the hidden, the mysteries, much more into the collective awareness. So this is something that I think in the mainstream world, people kind of push to the side. They don't want to look at it. They don't want to think about life, death, and rebirth and initiations and the mysteries that are hidden. This is Pluto going into Aquarius is going to bring it to the forefront in our world in a way that we will be able to collectively honor, revere, and hold sacred life itself as a top priority in the collective. And that's going to be a really, really big shift. That's going to start in March 2023. So this is huge. And Pluto will continue in Aquarius for the next 20 years after that until 2043. So a little bit of back and forth as he's moving into Pisces. He'll retrograde into Aquarius again. But this is the initial time that Pluto's going into Aquarius. I'm sorry, he'll retrograde into Capricorn once again. So these are huge, momentous transits that are going to be changing the trajectory of our world. And they're happening while we'll be in Egypt together. So we can work with this in a really powerful way. We can really connect in with the mysteries and what the ancient Egyptians knew about life and death and about how to create your life in highest alignment with cosmic order and natural law and integrity and honor, right? And we can send that energy out into the world to help with these shifts and changes as they are happening. And we can also, of course, bring all of that into our own lives for our own benefit as well. So this is just a really powerful time. The last thing that I will mention here astrologically is at the very end of our tour, we'll have this beautiful new moon that's happening at 0 degrees of Aries. And so 0 degrees of Aries is the very first degree of the entire zodiac. The zodiac starts with Aries and goes all the way around to Pisces. Okay. And 0 Aries is the very, very beginning. So this, as well as Pluto moving into Aquarius at that 0 degree point of Aquarius, this is another clear indication that we are entering a completely new age. This is just really, really incredible. So during this time together in Egypt, I know that we're going to be feeling this so strongly to bring the beauty of Venus and the North Node conjunct, okay, the beauty of all that we can create as we're building the new future. It will be powered by these huge transits from Saturn and Pluto, and then brought into this beautiful space of completion for our tour by the new moon at 0 degrees of Aries. And as we're traveling together in Egypt, we will be building the new world together, entering into this completely new age. And we will come home very transformed. So that is just like, when I looked at this astrology, I just couldn't believe it, and this is why we need to be in Egypt in March 2023.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah,
That
really
just goes so hand in hand with the whole theme of the tour, which of course is what we had decided together.
Exactly.
Really amazing.
Yeah. And I'm just going to put a link in the Zoom chat to our tour page so that if people are interested in joining, they will have that readily available.
Great.
So that's in the Zoom chat now. And if you're watching this later on YouTube, we'll make sure that link to the tour is in the video description right below.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to bring up, I have a whole presentation put together on the pictures of the temples and the places we're going to be going to. But I want to add that, first of all, that was fantastic, Jocelyn. It is so exciting. And some of those things really hit home for me when I think about, even the cycles within my own life. So this really is a powerful, powerful time. And I'm really excited about it. And the theme of the tour is this huge moving into, it's like a huge reversal that we're going through, that everything, we all feel that something really surreal is happening right now. And we're coming to, the end of an era, and it's a huge one. It really is. And we'll talk a lot about that during the tour. But this is a great time of renewal and rebirth, as Jocelyn was saying. And the whole theme in ancient Egypt of everything they left behind for us was about not only a resurrection of Osiris, and consider that theme spreads out into cultures, it's all over the world, this theme of resurrection and renewal. But they're telling us about this time. They know about the cycles. They know consciousness evolves, devolves, and then evolves again. And there are pivotal moments within these cycles, and we're at that moment right now. And so, when we go through the temples, when we go through and look at the symbolism, and feel, the sites are chosen with a specific purpose in mind, because they're built to be living structures. We are in these living, breathing entities that are interacting with us, and they're telling us about a time that's coming, and that time is now. And this is just so exciting. So let me go ahead and start sharing. So you can see what I'm talking about.
And we will, so you all know oh yes, there we go. Great. As we go through the tour, we will be looking even more closely at the astrology each day. So you'll get so many insights from that each day as we go along.
And sharing our dreams and visions, and, because it's so powerful in Egypt that, I always tell people to be aware of your dreams, be aware of what's happening, wake up and write them down, because they really are that's so incredible here. I'll never forget my first tour and all the powerful visions I had. And of course, ever since then, it just keeps getting better and better. I have a quick brief, I don't want to spend a lot of time on it, but here's our schedule. Jocelyn just gave you the link, but it gives you an idea of all the sites we're going to be seeing. And we have 3 private visits, which is just incredible. And the first one will be at Abydos in a huge megalithic temple called the Assyrian. And Jocelyn will tell you she had an incredible experience when we were there last February together. When the Assyrian used to be open for people to go down and look into. It really was never open to go down inside and walk around until just recently. And we've decided to take 2 hours of private time to go down and actually experience what that is. I'll tell you more when we get to that slide. And then we have private entries between the paws of the Sphinx, one of the most powerful places on Earth. And we call her Tefnut, just a tease there. And inside the Great Pyramid, not only the King's Chamber, but we'll open all 3 chambers, the Queen's Chamber and the Subterranean Chamber, for everyone to experience. So really, really exciting. The
So
symbol
powerful to experience the chambers, and the cats are saying, yes, yes.
Yes. Yes, there's another one here at my feet. The symbol on the left is an incredibly powerful one, and it's found in a crypt. My friend, a geologist, Susan Moore, took the picture, and it's one of the newly opened crypts that at the site of the Temple of Hathor at Dendera, and it represents this moment in time. And it's the moment that the winged scarab emerges to signify that we're entering the next stage of a day cycle after leaving a night cycle, which is this huge, powerful moment of complete renewal. We earn our wings and we fly into the daylight for the first time, which you can almost imagine or envision as a time of great awakening. And that's why they call it the new dawn, or they tell everyone to wake up. Well, that's what they're referring to. So he's emerging from the sun on the horizon as a new day of the sun rising in the east. So powerful, powerful imagery. So one of the first sites we're going to visit is Saqqara, and we're going to go to what's called the Unis. People say Unis, but the ancient phrase is Unis Pyramid, and it's the place of the most ancient pyramid texts, which Egyptology tells you are spells for the pharaoh or the dead kings to find their way back to the in the afterworld for their Ka and Ba to meet and unite as their light body. But if you go deeper into the symbolism of the text, you realize these are formulas for moving between the form and formless worlds. It's an incredibly powerful place, and it speaks to so much more. And unfortunately, we only have a short time here together, and I can't go into detail, but there's some really powerful messages about resurrection, even for the living kings, and what that actually means within this structure. And the structure itself is again just opened about maybe 6-7 years ago for the public. So this is a really special moment to go down into this pyramid. And also at Saqqara, we'll be able to go into at least one of the tombs, of the Old Kingdom tombs, and we'll see incredible imagery on the walls that, the pictures look like you're looking at daily life in ancient Egypt. But even here, this picture I put up on the right shows the Egyptians pulling, it looks like they're pulling a small calf out of the water, the Nile. But what's really happening is they're trying to lead the whole herd of cattle across the Nile. And how they do it is to grab the young calf, and look who's at the front of this herd of cattle, but the mother. So they know that it's the mother protecting the child this is how they can lead, this whole, all of these bulls and cows across the river. So it's a powerful message about just that mother, the power of the mother, the healing, nurturing, and protective love of the mother. And then so much more. This is a very simple example, but look at the imagery, look at the craftsmanship. It's just incredible. Of course, this is also the home of the Step Pyramid, which again was just opened in March 2020. the southern side to go down and look at the southern tomb underneath the step pyramid. Really big, huge megalithic box. And again, powerful experience to enter this pyramid that's been closed to the public for years and years. And don't miss the little the cobras that you see on this on the top of this building, because we're going to talk about how the important symbolism of what they mean. These exploding cobras, as I call them. And again, Saqqara is just a really powerful site. We're also going to experience what Hakim, this is a picture of Abdel Hakim Awyan, my basically my father-in-law, who I actually came to meet. My first trip here to Egypt was in 2006, and I came to meet Abdel Hakim. I had read 2 books by Stephen Mailer that were written with Hakim, and totally resonated with the information. And so when I came and met him, I was just blown away by the knowledge and wisdom that this man held as an incredible indigenous wisdom keeper. And so a lot of what I share is connected to his foundation of knowledge. I really wanted to dedicate, my early research was all dedicated to discovering why he said what he said. Unfortunately, he passed in 2008, but I'll be sharing so much of his knowledge and wisdom, as well as my continued research. And he had said that this place that we're looking at here was an ancient sound healing hospital. And I'm going to explain how that came to be and how it works and how we can even experience it while we're here. Really powerful experience. And of course, as energetic beings, our physicality responds to changes in magnetics, sound, and light frequencies. They understood this, and they also understood that, the healing aspect of, coming to get, healed is just one part of the healing process, that we also have to do the inner work. It's an interactive process. And so there's another structure I will introduce you to called the mirror, where you get to look at yourself and what's happening within. Really powerful experiences at this ancient site. That again uses the power of the land itself. The structure has underground shafts of running water that connect. What you're looking at is a patient's table here, were once 11 patients' table, and they're connected to a niche, and we call it a sound niche, but also the ability to send frequencies from the niche to the patient's table. But I have to stop there, and there again, so much more to share, but we need to keep going. Yes. Okay, Jasper, you're in front of me now.
Oh, hi, Jasper.
He wants to be part of the program. And here is me in the Serapeum. We are going to go into the Serapeum. It was opened, I think, about 10 years ago. While I was here, we were at the grand opening, which was just spectacular. And it's a subterranean complex with these huge boxes. And I put this image here so you can see, a frame of reference for how big they are. These are huge, 100-ton boxes with, 20 to 40-ton lids. And, you think, what could these possibly be used for? And we're going to talk about, they say they were built to house dead bulls, right? To bury bulls. And I'm saying bull, as in cattle. But of course, they're even bigger than a bull's body. But they found no bulls in any of these stone boxes, only in wooden boxes on the site. So we're going to talk about all the possibilities, and there are many, but a few really powerful ideas connected to even the ancient symbolism and mythology for what this huge structure. And there's 24 boxes, and there's also rooms behind, a room that we can't go into that I've been into in the past. And there's another Serapeum that they found. So we'll talk about where and what, and what these big complexes could have been all about. Here's another picture. I forgot I had it. Here's the hallway. You can look down. One of the hallways, there's 2 hallways and another big box. So yeah, it's an incredible experience. and we will do it. And then the Giza Plateau. I have just a picture of the pyramid here. We will explore and see a lot here at the plateau. From the outside, a whole day of this before we even come back and do the privates at the Sphinx and the King's Chamber. The plateau is such a powerful place. You can't just come and go into the pyramid. You have to understand how the whole complex works. And it is incredible. And we're also going to have a very special lunch at a new restaurant called the Nine Pyramids Lounge, and it's on the Giza Plateau. The views are just spectacular. It's a great place for photo opportunity. But yeah, it's just a really fun place. So the tour isn't just about information, wisdom, and experience. We're going to have fun too. And I also wanted to point out quickly how important the place of these sites are. The places we're going to be visiting are not just structures built on, on haphazard land. They were chosen for the energetic characteristics of the land. The symbol for place in ancient Egypt, the hieroglyphic symbol, was this circle with an X in it. And the ancient understanding was when you cross any two lines of energy, you create a portal. So these sites are ancient portals, right? That's where we get the phrase X marks the spot. And Hakim told us that the pyramids were called perneters, as houses of energy. And neter, the phrase itself meant force of nature. So here again, the neters, we've been taught to believe that the ancient pantheon of gods and goddesses were, revered. They were like pagan gods that they worshipped. But that's our cultural understanding. It wasn't theirs. They revered them as powerful forces of nature. So these are things that we're going to talk about as well. And so the pyramid itself is a house of energy. It's a powerful force of nature. And he said Perneter Het was the phrase that indicated the place. It was the place that was important. And these site locations were chosen for their powerful geomagnetic currents, which enabled them to harness, amplify, and radiate this extraordinary energy within the incredible structures that were built on them. This is what makes them alive and breathing structures. Truly incredible. And I also want to point out that it's not just, the place, but it's also the combination of rocks and minerals that they choose. And they place them in geometric patterns, and the angle and the shape and the color and all of these things come into play because everything has an energetic imprint that's interacting with you. And so they use these, this is a picture on the left of the netter Sachet, and she's basically the great architect of creation. And you see her here with one of the kings. This is from Edfu, and they're doing this stretching of the cord ceremony, which is basically laying the architectural blueprint, and in this case, basically for the earth as it emerges into a new cycle. How incredible. And when they do this, they're aligning these structures to stellar, solar, and lunar events and motions at specific times of the year even. And they always align the temple with some reference in mind to the Big Dipper. And we're going to talk about why that's so important. So yeah, there's just so much that comes into play. We don't even realize how important some of these things are to ancient architecture, and with the placement of the wells, and there's underground running water underneath all these temples, and that's creating an energetic ionic atmosphere that, again, these are fields of force that can be harnessed and utilized. And if you understand it, you understand that you're entering this sacred place that's alive with this energy that, was created just for us, to experience for body, mind, and spirit. Hakim called the temples purbas, places of, this energy that does interact or alter the mind, right? Mind altering experiences. And the mind and the body and you know, the heart, it's everything. So yeah, this is Luxor Temple in when we go to Luxor, and we're going to visit it at night, and it's absolutely spectacular. And you'll see there's a mosque within the temple, because these sites again are chosen. You know, these are power places, and so we find, you know, that there's structures below structures below structures on purpose. And so yeah, and so this mosque is here, so, and it's also sacred, so there's no excavating underneath it, but they did find structures underneath this temple and all the other temples as well, almost all of them. There are structures below structures, back, sometimes dating back to pre-dynastic times. One of Jocelyn's favorites, Abydos.
This is my favorite place possibly in the whole world. It is so magical there. Oh my goodness. Yes.
Truly, truly. And, you know, and I'm going so quickly, I'm not even talking about the experiential aspect of this. You know, we are going to talk about the symbolism, and it's powerful, and it speaks to our renewal and resurrection. But the experiencing of it, we take time to just experience the energy. And again, you know, just the fact that these structures are created to, you know, to alter who we are, to enable us to harness this energy, to utilize it for our own intentions and creative forces within us. So yeah, we will take time when we can, and it's difficult at times today, because Egypt is not, you know, they kind of frown on people sitting down and meditating. So we try and be a little creative, and sometimes we're able to secure a place away from the other tourists where we can sit and do our meditations and have those experiences that I think are necessary to truly connect with the energy of the site and the temple and the ancients. Again, we'll take the time to discuss these things and, you know, interact with each other. So yeah, just incredibly powerful. And that's Thoth. We call him Jehuti. The ancient name is Jehuti, the netter of consciousness. And what's cool is he's holding these two scepters that are crossed, right? He's created a portal, one representing Upper Egypt and one Lower Egypt. That's the two hemispheres of the brain, right? Because the objective is to utilize both hemispheres of the brain. We'll talk more on that later. And here's beautiful Jocelyn enjoying the portal of light that comes through at specific times, at different angles during the day. And it's just such a powerful experience. And Abydos is one of the most beautiful temples for doing this.
Really is just the energetic frequency that you feel as you step in. I mean, again, to all of these temples, but there's just something about Abydos that really, it is an interdimensional star portal. I am quite sure of it. It's just incredible.
Well, there's a few things that help. Again, the place, there's underground aquifer underneath Seti 1. And underneath the Assyrian, there's a pool of what I call primordial water. And, you know, we'll talk about more about how significant that is. It's hugely significant. So yeah, and powerful. And what's this, Jocelyn?
The Assyrian. Oh my goodness. And yes, this place. Wow. I mean, this is just so incredibly ancient beyond our imaginings. And doesn't this have the same construction features as the Valley Temple of the Sphinx? That could date it way back, you know.
It does, and my next slide sort of points that out. You see this high architectural feature, but this is incredibly powerful. And of course, we use this feature in doorways and dolmen all over the world. And it's incredibly significant because pi is the transcendental number. And these portals represent something that goes, it's just very, very ancient. And in most places in the world, normally these portals want to face, I found this out, and I'll explain that again during the tour. We don't have time. But these portals want to face an east-west direction. They face east for the rising sun. And it's just really, really, really incredible. But this Osirian, it's megalithic. These blocks are, they're huge. They can weigh up to 100 tons or more. I'm not sure the specific figure at this moment. But how did they get them, from Aswan or whatever where the quarry was to Abydos? They're just huge. And except for, during the time, the 18th dynasty, there's no writings. And of course, it's far more ancient. I meant the 19th dynasty with Seti I and Ramses II. It's far more ancient than that. And Hakim would have said it could be tens of thousands of years more ancient. I'm not going to make that guess. But yeah, there's a lot we're going to talk about when we get here. Including Seti. And there's a story about an experience she had here. And I'm really fortunate to be on a team that has done a lot of research here physically. And so I'll be able to share a lot about, different things about the water here and underneath. And Seti said that the water that we see here in the structure was healing. Very healing. They've pumped a lot of it out now, so we're not going to have water when we're walking around, just so you know. Oh, yes, and they also say that there's the mythology of Osiris, and that Set had chopped him into 42 or 14 pieces, and that's important. But that his loving consort Isis mourns for her great lover, and she turns into the kite bird, and she finds all the different pieces of Osiris and puts him back together again. Again, this is all about resurrection of mankind, because Osiris is the land and he is humanity on earth. She finds all these pieces, and the legend has it she found the head at Abydos, which makes an incredibly powerful and important, significant place. And it was a place of pilgrimage. Incredibly powerful place of pilgrimage. It's like in the ancient times, it was something they all needed to do, is get to Abydos. So all these things we'll talk about. And I like to put this here. This is a diagram. The Osirian goes underground, and these are two stairways. It actually goes deeper than this, if you can believe it. From what they say, it could be almost 10 stories. That's incredible if you think about it. That was not built in modern, Anyway, this dynamic of these stairways, when I see the diagrams of the resurrection scenes, they show these stairways, and it's relating to the primeval mound, being surrounded by primordial waters. So huge symbolic significance. And again, we'll get more into that later.
Patricia, I will share briefly about my experience there at the Osirian. It was, there were a number of us sitting and meditating, and I know a few other people felt this as well. I've never felt energy like this. I was sitting with my feet down in one of the kind of indented places, and I was sitting up on the floor level, and there were these currents of energy. It felt like if you were standing in the ocean, maybe up to your chest in the water, and the waves are just washing over you. It felt that real and physical and visceral, the way the waves of energy were washing over my body. And I know that some other people said they felt something similar. And so I know we had talked about this when we go to the Osirian. Maybe I could lead everybody in a shamanic journey while we're there to really tap into that energy, into the rituals and ceremonies that were held there. It would be.
Oh, I think definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
We have 2 hours.
Hey, we can do a deep, deep journey. That would be amazing.
Definitely. Definitely.
Yes.
This is a face you gotta love. This is Hathor, or Hathor as I call her. And she is the goddess of love, dance, and so much more. And the so much more is really important. And when we go,
sorry to interrupt. with the
No.
astrology, Hathor is the same archetype as Venus, which
Yeah.
is an archetype that we are going to be working with very, very profoundly and beautifully while we're there.
Exactly. And think of her name, Hathor, Taurus. She's Taurus, right? Which
Right.
is ruled
Yes.
by Venus.
Yes,
So,
right, exactly.
and the seven Hathors, these aspects of her are related, of course, to the Pleiades, but also the Big Dipper, and just so many different things we can discuss. This is a gateway. Basically, the ceiling of a gateway that will enter on the way to the temple of Hathor at Dendera. And this is hugely significant because Hakim had told us, that this is the only place in all of Egypt that you will see the underbelly of the winged scarab. And he said that this meant that we are entering a place that holds all the answers to the mysteries of the universe. Wow. I mean, that's just incredible. And of course, the winged scarab speaking about this new great awakening. So, and I have to tell you, I've spent so many of the last 14 years focused on the symbolism of Dendera, and it truly does hold the answers to the mysteries that we all have been asking. Some of us, me for sure, have been asking since I was born. And just, I think I'm going to blow your minds with what I show you on the first ceiling of the Hypostyle Hall.
Yes, you are. But everybody, once you hear what Patricia will tell you as we step into Dendera, you will not be the same after. You will be changed and transformed just from hearing what she has to say.
It has to. It transformed me, and it is just mind blowing. And it's right there before your eyes, and you can't argue with it. And then you see it throughout the entire temple, and even the structure, the architecture of the structure embodies the cycles. It's mind blowing. But anyway, it's much deeper and more profound than that. This is a lovely picture of Jocelyn in the temple, and you can see the imagery is it's everywhere, and it's so beautiful. And just here to your right, you can't see the whole image of Nut, but this is a picture of Nut. It's on the ceiling, and she's giving birth to Hathor as the face of form, right? From the rays of the sun, we're light beings, right? But her chin is on this structure. And again, it's that pi portal, right? Because we are born through a womb, which is a portal between heaven and earth, which is why Hathor is so profound, representing this womb. John Anthony West said the womb of time, right? It's such a powerful image to explain something, anyway, and it's just the beginning of the story. So we're going to have so much fun here. And then we go upstairs and you see the famous Dendera Zodiac. Now, of course, we'll see a replica. The original is at the Louvre, but they did, this one has been all cleaned off. The one at Dendera is still got some black soot on it, but you can still see this imagery. And there are so many secrets within even this image that we'll discuss. And these are two friends that are standing under this wonderful opening with, and again, you have to experience, it's just so beautiful in one of the Osiris chambers. So again, so much. Oh, and it's the home of the famous crypt that holds the light bulb, right? If you've ever heard of this, but it's not a light bulb, folks. And I'm going to explain how we're actually looking at the birth of the cosmos, if you will. And I'll explain why and how and who all these figures are. Really, really powerful. And where is this?
Oh, Nefertari's tomb. Oh my goodness, it's so beautiful there.
It actually is they call it the Sistine Chapel, right, of Egypt. It's considered, it's the tomb that has the most exquisitely painted imagery in Egypt, at least so far found today. And again, this tomb was closed to the public for the longest time, and they recently opened, I think it was 2018, finally opened it for the price of fairly high price of a ticket, but we've included it on the tour. So we will be going here to see this incredible tomb. And the beauty of this is, you know, some of the other tombs, you know, there are tons and tons of tourists all crowding in. And this one, because it's so exclusive, we're not going to have as many people. We'll probably have, you know, some alone time in the tomb. So yeah, really, really spectacular.
It's just magnificent there. That's very Venusian as well, actually. It is just to really see, you know, you see the hieroglyphs in many places without color to them, and to really see them in full color as they are in Nefertari's tomb and be able to take that in and know that in all the other temples, they were in these beautiful colors. It's just really an incredible experience.
Truly, truly. And Nefertari, by the way, was the beloved queen of Ramses II. He's kind of like the most prolific king in all of Egypt. I think he lived to be 99 and had more than 100 kids. And so the story of Ramses is unbelievable. But he had many wives, but this was his first and most beloved. And you can see, you know, she gets this amazing tomb. And and you're right, Jocelyn, she identifies her divinity with Hathor, which most of the queens did. But when we go to Abu Simbel, we'll see that her whole temple is dedicated to Hathor. This is another one of Jocelyn's favorite places. Medinat Habu.
Yes, yeah. We all are, I think.
Yes. It's on the West Bank as well, and it's really a huge. It seems to be a huge structure, but it's also a cult temple. So there's a lot of imagery again. You know, Abydos has this, and this site has it as well. Imagery of the king going through ancient Osiris rituals and resurrection rituals. And it's also the site of that's very connected to the ancient Ogdod, which were the 8 creator gods of the cosmos, you know, the universe, where they have creation stories more specifically focused on, you know, earth-based creation. This is, you know, universal creation. So very, very powerful place. And we also get to have a 4-day or 4-night cruise. So yeah, down the Nile. And what's really fascinating and fabulous about it is the Nile, when you look at the banks of the Nile, the farming techniques and everything still in so many places, you know, seems to be exactly what it was in ancient times. So it's almost surreal. You feel you're back in ancient times floating down the Nile. And we'll have time, you know, when we go to the sites, we spend so much time and yeah, we'll have so many amazing, powerful experiences. But, you know, we get back and we're tired and we don't have a lot of time to spend with each other. But when we get on the boat, we have all this time while we're sailing to connect and talk. And Jocelyn's going to do some sessions where she talks to us, and you can tell us a little bit about what you're going to do. But it gives us the time to talk about our experiences and share. And I think it's one of the most important, significant times on the tour, because we need to like memorialize everything that's been going on, you know, as we're enjoying the amenities of the boat and just hanging out with each other.
Yeah, this will be a beautiful space to, if you want an astrology reading, a personal astrology reading with me, we could do that on the boat. It would be a great time to do it. And quite a great atmosphere and background. And yes, I'm happy to. And also we'll have a little more time, as Patricia was saying, so we could really do some powerful meditation and shamanic journeying practices together as a group, sending prayers out into the world, of course, prayers for ourselves and our loved ones, and really, you know, diving into the mystery in that way, in that imaginal way. As there's a little conversation going on in the chat where Julianne is asking about some of the chambers, like the Hall of Records that are beneath the Giza Plateau, that we're not allowed to visit on the tour, but we can go there imaginally, right? We can go there in our shamanic journeying state. So we can really work with that and connect these ancient sites underground that are where the even deeper knowledge is held. We can connect in with that and bring all of that into this sense of the age of Aquarius and the new age that's dawning. It'll be really powerful. So we'll have a lot of beauty in store for you around that while we're on the boat, and maybe a few other little times here and there as we go.
Yeah, and I might even do a lecture on the boat. I think I'm going to do at least one lecture during the tour to give you more background, because it's hard sometimes to do it at the temples, you know, in all the temples. So I'm going to try and do that. But as Jocelyn was, you know, talking about the Hall of Records, I believe that what she's describing is possibly the best way to connect. I believe that the Hall of Records is referring to the structures themselves, the pyramids, the temples are halls of records, right? And they're screaming knowledge at us if we have eyes and ears, you know, to see and hear, and feel and experience, hearts to feel and experience. And what Jocelyn will lead us through will enable us to somehow connect with that, and give us the tools for connecting with that and that energy when we're within structures. So yeah, really powerful. And just looking at the sunrises and the sunsets on the Nile are spectacular. It is just a beautiful, I never get tired of it. And I can't tell you how many cruises I've been on. I have lost count long ago. This is Karnak Temple, and it's you know, it competes with Angkor Wat for being one of the largest, being the largest temple on Earth, right? It's huge and it's spectacular. We're not going to be able to see every nook and cranny. We'll take you to the most spectacular places at Karnak. What's really cool, I show you the column on the left because they've been restoring, and when they say they're restoring the paint and the artwork, they're not repainting. They're using chemicals to draw the original artwork back. So they're cleaning it and then utilizing these chemicals to bring to life some of the colors from the ancient times. So it's really fun to see as it's happening. And you'll see some of this when we go. This big calcite, or what they call Egyptian alabaster, my geologist, Susan Moore, says travertine, but we're looking at, it's this big, I don't know what I'm going to call it. We'll talk about that when we get there, but it's right there at the entrance into Karnak in the first Hypostyle Hall, which is huge. And there's the Holy of Holies that we'll experience. This is a it's a scarab again, but it's a really what were you going to say?
I just said it's the scarab beetle.
It's the scarab beetle, and the scarab beetle itself symbolizes transformation, right? It's symbolizing what we are going to be doing along this whole experience. It begins just like this scarab beetle that, you know, eventually earns its wings and flies, and so much more, which we'll talk about. I don't want to take the time now, but at Karnak, they have this big one and it's sitting on this pedestal, and it's famous because they say people walk around it 7 times, and 7's important, 7 times counterclockwise in order to become pregnant. But I say pregnant with possibilities. This is for anybody with intentions, but it is something that the ancient women would come to these temples, and they would come to the wells, and they'd come to images like this and walk around it in order, you know, when they really wanted to become pregnant. So yeah, lots of fun. And of course, we can't go to Karnak and not visit Sekhmet.
This powerful place. Wow.
Oh my gosh. I will tell you about some of my experiences when you come, but yeah, I still have experiences with Sekhmet today. She always has a message. And when I say that, I'm not saying that, oh, she's alive and she's talking. Well, she is alive and she's talking to us. I am saying that, but I'm not saying that it's a pagan ritual. I'm saying that the ancients had such a level of consciousness that they were able to craft this stone into this imagery that is alive, if that makes sense. And I'll talk to you about Dr. Ibrahim Karim and biogeometry, because he explains this so well, but they literally knew how to shape in such harmonic resonance, I don't know what else to say, in such a beautiful way, that these statues are alive with the archetypal energy of the Neteru, and that they represent. And Sekhmet is one of the most powerful forces of nature on the planet. She represents the protective love of the mother. That's huge. And you know, you've all heard stories of mothers that they see their child, you know, in danger, like underneath a car or something, they've been able to lift that car up. That's that power of the protective mother. And she also represents the healing and nurturing love of the mother. So a powerful force of love, but she's also related to Kali. And she's the one that destroys in order to open a space for renewal and resurrection. So when I say that she has a message, they say she has many different faces, but when you stand before her, her eyes are human, aren't they? Like totally, her eyes are alive.
Eyes are so alive. Yes.
And
human.
and she either, you know, she's giving me wonderful, loving, nurturing, you know, something I needed just when I was feeling low. But she's also sparked me and hit me on, you know, yeah, she's literally like said, all right, Patricia, you know, come on, get with the program. She, you know, she can be so many different things. She gives you what you need if you're willing to accept what it is she has to tell you. So yeah, this can be one of the most powerful moments of the journey. And we will definitely go here and spend some time with her during our visit to Karnak. And if we have time, we're also going to go to the precinct of Mut. And I include pictures of both of us at the same statue, because when you see this statue, you can't leave it. She just draws you in,
Yeah.
and you never want to leave.
It's so powerful and beautiful. Yes.
So incredible. And this is Mut. She is a different energy than Sekhmet. She's sitting in her power. And she, again, is a great mother, but she has that silent energy that, you know, is so forceful and so powerful. Just incredible. This divine feminine energy that is, yeah, it's just what we all need to connect with now. You know, we need to connect with our heart. We need to open our chests and reveal our hearts if we want to affect change for the future.
Well, these ancient beings and ancient archetypes, these are the sacred feminine before the woundings occurred, right?
Yeah.
The sacred feminine in its pure form and its fierce form and its just absolute cosmic, you know, potential.
Yeah.
So to feel that and to allow yourself to be guided by that and be in relationship with her in that way, it really changes everything.
Yeah, she awakens it within you. That's what's so when you experience that energy, you find something within yourself. And it's one of the ways Egypt changes your life. Because I'll tell you, as I said before, I've been here 14 years and I've been leading tours for most of that time, not all of it, but a great deal of the time. And so, you know, I've connected with so many people that continue to write to me, and, you know, they tell me that they go home and suddenly everything changed, you know, that almost, you know, the things that they intended are suddenly happening in their lives, whether they're ready for it or not, you know, and I'll say, be careful with your intentions, be aware when you're making them, you know, make intentions with clarity. But Egypt changes you. It's a powerful place. It's been transforming me since I got here, and it, you know, I'm still here. It's incredible. So definitely.
Certainly been transforming me since I first went. And Sekhmet has been quite a big part of that journey. She's been with me ever since that first time we stood in that chamber. She is here.
Oh yeah, yeah. For me too. I mean, from my very first trip, and I can't even speak. Trip. Something powerful happened to me while I was there. I mean, you know, I don't want to take the time. And then she came back to me at times when I needed her. So yeah, and these are the kinds of sharing that we're going to have on the tour, you know, some of these powerful experiences. And then, you know, we're on the cruise now. We're traveling down the Nile, and we stop, you know, on our first morning, and we go to the Temple of Horus at Edfu. And this is not just any temple. This temple holds the secrets of Zep-Tepi, or the first time. And they have something here called the building texts that speak to the original, the moment that the mound emerges from the primordial waters, right, of Nun, nothing. And so it emerges to create this first breath. And they speak about, you know, that this pillar emerges on the mound, and it's on Horus comes to light on it, right? So the beginning begins with Horus as the sun, you know, S-O-N-S-U-N, of this rebirthing of a cycle. And within it, we're going to talk about so many different things, not only Zep-Tepi, but also the Ark of the Covenant. Because we're going to see imagery that relates to the Ark of the Covenant, and also a powerful reference to what the Giza Plateau represents. Every single site is connected within the mythology and the story that Egypt projects for us. And again, I'll say for this moment in time. So yeah, really powerful stuff. This image on the right is Horus, and he's wearing the double crown of Upper and Lower Egypt to signify that he has connected both hemispheres of the brain. And Jocelyn just alluded to the fact that in ancient times, it was a matriarchal time. It was a time of great reverence for the feminine, and the feminine within all of us, both male and female. When we talk about the feminine, you know, it's not just women that hold the feminine energy. We are all, Hakeem used to say, we're all the same. There's only 2% difference between a man and a woman, and we're all dual beings. We have both masculine and feminine within us. So, and the feminine has been suppressed in all of us for too long, and we need to bring it forward because the powers need to be balanced, both the masculine and the divine masculine and the divine feminine. And here we see this within Horus, and we'll begin to embrace and experience what that means to be in complete harmonic resonance. And here, this is a picture from the Holy of Holies. It shows you, this is a replica of one of the barks that they had used for ritual and ceremony. And we'll talk about why that is powerful and significant. Because they had a bark that came from Dendera that would come down with a golden image of Hathor to meet a golden image of Horus to replicate the coming together of the divine masculine and the divine feminine. And they did this annually in this great ceremony of reunion. And again, it's what this symbolically represents. You know, it's a great moment in time because that's the beginning and end. Male and female come together to give birth, right? But the birth is the birth of a new cycle, a new beginning. There's always an end, and the end always holds. It's always an end and a beginning. Everything is eternal. That's the message of Egypt. So where is this, Jocelyn?
Pamumbo.
Yes.
Yes, the pillars there are just outstanding. And yeah, what a healing place.
Oh gosh. And that's exactly what it's for. It's for initiation and healing. And again, the imagery, so powerful. And we'll talk about different initiations that were performed here. This is at the top of a symbol of a beautiful symbolic image that I actually have it on the next slide. It's an image that, you know, we find out that this powerful message that we're still hearing today was here in Egypt at this site in Kamumbo on the wall, and it's showing us the 4 fixed signs of the zodiac, which are really really became a powerful symbolic imagery that's used in religious dogma in different places all over the world. But it marks the beginning of it's actually marking the 4 seasons of the great year, and so much more. So we're going to talk about that. And again, I don't want to spend a lot of time on it now, but you know, this is the kind of stuff that you're going to come face to face with in Egypt. You'll see the roots of so many different understandings that we know about, we speak about today in our current you know, dogma, not only religious dogma, but you know, philosophical dogma. They comes from all the different ages, but so much of it stems back to Egypt, and it's just powerful. I also want to point out that if you look at the image on the left, and you see this shrine, and it represents sound. These shrines are like sound devices. But what's fascinating is you see the 2 ears on either side. And it's where we get the phrase, the walls have ears. So I'll tell you why that is. And we'll actually experience, it's a rebirthing. Well, not actually, I'd be able to show you it as a rebirthing channel. And it also has a sound box in it. So yeah, fun stuff. And this is not a wishing well.
Not quite.
They call this a nilometer, and this is still at Kamumbo. Isn't it beautiful? I just love the spiraling stairway that goes down. But Hakeem told us this was a place where they had crocodiles, because this temple, Kamumbo, is dedicated to the netters Sobek and Horus, right? And Sobek is the crocodile netter. And as a powerful netter, Hakeem told us he represents digestion, and it's digestion of fear and anger, right? Within. It's not, you know, yes, the way they digest their food is where the symbolic understanding comes from. But the idea that, you know, you're digesting your fear and anger in order to raise yourself to higher levels of awareness, excuse me. Again, place of initiation, and this well, according to the indigenous here, once held these crocodiles, and the initiate would have to jump in order to find the place where, you know, in other words, he'd have to jump in and find an escape route and overcome his fear in doing so. You can even imagine. And what's interesting is so many people have shared experiences with me that they've had with this particular well, but they come to me before we even get there. And so these people have never been to Egypt before, but they have a dream or a memory and they bring it forward. But anyway, this is a really powerful place of initiation. And I show you the 3D image on the side that shows you, you know, what happens within and where some of those tunnels are. So, you know, I always need to research these things to make sure, you know, is there really an exit? And there actually is within the design. So again, we'll talk about this when we come to Kamumbo. And once and Kamumbo is also by the side of the Nile, and we get there in the evening. So it's really nice to go again. It's just normally as the sun is setting, and it's just, you know, it makes the temple light up, sort of like the first image I showed. It's just a beautiful time to be walking through the temple. And after we leave Kamumbo, we sail further. And I say, you know, we're sailing up the Nile, I guess, because we're in Upper Egypt. It's it is the only major river in the world that flows from south to north. And this is why it's Upper Egypt and Lower Egypt is in the north. So yeah, you already feel a little bit reversed when you come. And so that next we go to Aswan, and we will then directly go to Abu Simbel. And we are all going to go together. So, you know, this is a really incredible site. What do you think, Jocelyn?
Yeah, this was mind-blowing, the size of these figures. It's just beyond your belief. And I
have your picture.
Here I am. Yeah, you can see the scale there. That's me in the blue.
And that she is standing next to at the bottom of a headdress.
Right, that fell from that figure right above. It's just incredible. And these temples are really beautiful too inside. And it's kind of rare to go here because it's really far to the south. So it's a gift that we get to go here on this tour. It's just amazing.
Yeah, it really is. And again, this is dedicated to Ramses II. And when I say this, I'm not saying it was actually built at the time of Ramses II, although this one might have been. Oftentimes the temples are far more ancient and they're adopted by later, or even the structures, and they're adopted by later civilizations. Kind of like when you buy a house, you kind of renovate it, change it, and put your name all over it. Well, this is sort of what they did. And we know that Ramses II did this everywhere. He basically would erase what was there and write his name, and he used to indent his writing because nobody could come back and and wipe it off. This one, and this was right on the Nile. So anyone sailing by would have just been blown away by this incredible structure. And unfortunately, when they built the high dam, they literally had to take these structures, both temples, apart piece by piece and mark them and pull them up, and they rebuilt the entire 2 temples literally all over again back in the 1960s. And it's amazing what they did. And they even had to create, it was a man-made little mountain in order to, put them in there. So it's actually hollow on the inside. But you don't realize that when you're there. It's just incredible what they could do. And they kept all the alignments. And, many people still believe this is one of their most powerful experiences, this temple. And you're going to have to come and experience it for yourself, but they really are incredible. And there are some powerful alignments we'll talk about as well. This is Aswan. Aswan, as you go down the Nile, as you literally leave from Cairo, with the hustle and bustle of this big, huge city, and you come to Luxor and you feel like, I can breathe, right? Wow. And it's so beautiful. And then as we go south, the energy even lightens up more. And I kind of call this the place of the Nubian people. And Nub or Neb means precious or gold. It is the precious place. And the people here are so heart-centered and so beautiful. Not that everybody in Egypt isn't, but the Nubians, they have a musical nature, if that makes sense. I remember walking down the street once with Joseph, and we were walking down the street, and these kids were going by and they were singing, and it sounded a little repetitious to me. And I said, "What's this?" And he said, "They're singing their math lessons," if you can imagine. And who does that? But the Nubian people are so musical and so heart-centered and so beautiful, and being here is such a lovely experience. And we'll spend some time on the Nile. We'll take a felucca to Elephantine Island, or we'll do a felucca at some point, and we'll go to Philae in a motorboat too. It's just truly beautiful. And this is Philae, and I'm on the motorboat when I take the picture.
Oh, I love it.
It's so cool because you leave an area, like a dock, and you take the motorboat, you come around the corner, and the temple just starts to expose itself to you. It's really a beautiful experience. And then we get off and we explore. So again, this is the Temple of Isis. John Anthony West used to say that if Luxor temple was the temple of man, then this must be the temple of woman, right? It's at a powerful spot in Aswan, and we'll talk about that and why it's important. But it's important. I'll say now that it basically on the summer solstice, the sun hits its highest point at noon on the Tropic of Cancer at Philae, which is hugely significant. It's that high point, and they celebrated the birth of Horus born from Isis at this moment in time. And of course, this marked the inundation. This was when we were going to have the heliacal rising of Sirius with the sun, which I call an alchemical marriage, right? And they come together, and then, they begin the floods, the annual floods, which brings the silt, which is, it's basically paramagnetic minerals from Ethiopia, from an ancient supervolcano that is placed in the silt that's dumped on the banks of the Nile that ensured a rich harvest, which is the resurrection of the land. Again, another aspect of the resurrection of Osiris. It's always about this moments of resurrection and renewal. Just beautiful.
Yay,
And then
oh my goodness. Yeah, the way that the sun sets behind the Sphinx is unbelievable.
Truly. And we are there probably close to sunset. We seem to have been the last few times. It's incredible to be up close and personal with the Sphinx, and we have to have the private time to do that. And we'll have our 2 hours, and you can walk around the Sphinx enclosure, and we'll talk about, why we believe she's far more ancient than she's said to be. She's said to have, people say that her image is of Kheper. And he's a 4th dynasty pharaoh, and it dates back to 4,500 years ago. But we'll talk about how Robert Schoch, John Anthony West brings Robert Schoch to Egypt he's a famous geologist who looks at the Sphinx enclosure. And it's actually Swallowed Lubitz that first said this, and Robert came and confirmed it in his belief. And Susan as well, my own geologist, they all agree that she's far more ancient, and the geology speaks to why of the enclosure. We'll talk about that. But I think even more significant is she sits in a powerful alignment. She is aligned to the pyramids. I call them pyramidians, right? An ancient name for them, which means fire in the middle. But it's also where we get our word meridian, and it was once the prime meridian. And this spot was once a powerful line of energy itself. I call it a line of fertility. So the lions represent this powerful geomagnetic currency on Earth. So we'll talk about that and why I say that and what that actually means, because this imagery goes forward in many cultures today, even in England and Scotland, and there's a reason for that as well. So it's just, and then to be on this power spot, and between her paws is known to be one of the most powerful spots for healing and for projecting that healing to everywhere on the planet. So you can take this moment to project this healing energy to those that you love, your family and friends, and to everywhere. We can take that moment together to send that, that energy of healing and love throughout the planet, because it sits on one of the most powerful spots on Earth. So yeah, who wouldn't want to be here, right? and this is all, like you said, equinox energy. So there's a powerful portal open on Earth anyway.
Yes, and all of the indigenous and ancient peoples, say that those days, the solstices and equinoxes, are the days when the veils come down and we have connection with the other realms. And yeah, what an amazing time to be between the paws of the Sphinx. And there are chambers beneath the Sphinx as well, which is very mysterious because they're
exactly.
Yeah,
we don't even know what's down there, although we do know there are chambers, open areas underneath the Sphinx. Also, with what you just said, want to point out, there is a wonderful researcher in the UK, Rory Duff, that speaks about, he really works with energy lines and dragon lines, and I think he's one of the greatest experts we have, and he speaks about coming together all over the planet on these power spots a day or two before the equinox, you know, and the solstices. But like you said, these are powerful moments for for projecting change and positive change. So yeah, these dates were chosen with such care, and to think that, you know, we can make a difference. And I think we make a difference in every moment that we project positive into the world. But then to utilize, you know, what's been given here on Earth is, I think to not take advantage of it would be a shame. So yeah, but that's me. You know. And here we are today together. So, you know, it's a great time to even project this kind of energy, positive energy to the world.
Yeah. Yes. Today on the equinox.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, for us, it happens around 3 or 3:30 a.m., something like that here in Egypt.
Okay.
But it's the same time as you guys. We're just 6 hours ahead of you.
Yes. Anyone, if you weren't on at the beginning, we mentioned that today is the equinox, September 22nd or 23rd, depending on where you are. And then we're talking about this tour where we'll be together during the next equinox. So it's very, very magical.
Totally, completely. It's just wonderful. And you just chose this date, and then I realized, you know, the last few days it was going to be on the equinox that we're meeting.
Yeah.
So
We're
how
very
cool.
guided in all of this.
Yes, definitely. So we're also going to be in another power place, which is the Great Pyramid on this day. And, you know, I put the picture on the left because it's so amazing to be. First of all, you're on the plateau. This is private time. We have 2 hours to ourselves. You're on the plateau with nobody else but our group, right? You know, and a few security guards, you know, and a site inspector, but it's our group, right? And, you know, I got this picture of the sunset, you know, but, you know, everything seems to be so much more magical at night and, you know, at sunset. And we're going to go, as I said, go in, the pyramid will be open, and all 3 chambers will be open to you. And we'll have 2 hours. We normally all go together to the King's Chamber to experience the powerful energies there as a group. And then they open the other 2 chambers. And, you know, every single area within this pyramid is incredibly powerful. We'll talk about some of the recent discoveries. They have discovered that the pyramid is able to harness electromagnetic energy and focus it. This is huge. And when you tone, you utilize, and we'll talk about toning and we'll practice toning. This is, you know, the acoustic energy within this and several other places is so powerful in Egypt, and especially in the King's Chamber. And we'll have the ability to do so much. I don't want to go into a whole lot of detail, but this is the highlight. This is our last moment of the tour together, because it, you know, this is where everything that we've experienced along the journey comes together and culminates with this final powerful experience.
And
it's
astrologically at this time, you know, so this will be when Venus is coming in to be exact with the North Node. And then we have that new moon at 0 degrees of Aries. I mean, this is quite a culmination moment.
Yeah, and if you want to intend for something, my gosh, think of, you know, all of the energy comes together for you to set an intention. So throughout the journey, we can release all the things that no longer serve us, right? And as we're doing that, we're opening a space, a huge space for renewal, right? And resurrection. We're opening a space for a new cycle. And what are you going to fill up that space with? And this is the time, this is the place where we can intend what it is we hope to achieve in our, you know, in our not too distant future, but even in the distant future. You know, these are powerful moments, and this is the time to make use of them. So
yeah, I'm having chills actually as you point that out, because just imagine this, setting your intentions for what you have cultivated over the whole length of this time, as we're getting all the messages from the dream and the liminal realms, right? And then you come with your intentions that are a result of all that you've experienced on the Giza Plateau, inside of the Great Pyramid. at the new moon, which is the time for setting intentions, which is at 0 degrees Aries, which is the very first degree of the zodiac. What an incredible time to create new beginnings.
It doesn't happen every year, folks.
No, it really doesn't. That is just unbelievable. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, it truly is. So yeah, it would be so wonderful. I don't know how, if you can make it, that would be awesome. We'll share pictures. But
if you're feeling called to it, you know
yeah.
that your intentions with the next new moon, which will be September 25th, to manifest the resources and everything that you need to get there. And it will be divinely guided for sure. And if you're meant to be there, it will, the pathways will open up and you'll be able to join us. So really, be fierce in your love in in creating that new reality for yourself, and come and join us. It is going to be so powerful and life-changing.
It truly is. And it's funny you say that, because that's exactly what I did the first time I came to Egypt. I heard a voice that said, Patricia, this is it. This is the time you've been waiting for your whole life. You've got to go to Egypt. Because I knew since I was a child, I had to come to Egypt. But that year I was told, and it was in September, and I sent in my registration form, and I didn't have all the resources I needed, but I knew I had to start going through the motions. And I got my first passport at this time. It was so funny. I opened the doorway to years and years of traveling all over the world, but that was it. And all I did was project that I needed to go now. And you wouldn't believe what happened to me that year to make it all happen. And I was able to go again a year and a half later into other places. And, it set some kind of energy in motion that, I don't call it miracles anymore. I just believe we step into our power when we realize we have the ability to create in any aspect of your life. It's not just traveling. It's something, it's inherent within us. So.
And that this is the way the universe really works, is through miracles and synchronicities and divine guidance. So
yes.
We are naturally attuned to these kind of events. We just need to fully open our hearts, open our minds, and they can flow right into us. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I put the link in the chat one more time, everybody. If you want to just click on that link, you can learn more and come and join us.
Definitely. It would be wonderful. And trust me, it's like I said, it's not just powerful experience, wisdom, and knowledge, but it's fun. We get together, we bond. You can make friends for life. I do. Almost every tour. And we want to have fun together. It has to be a joyful experience, powerful, joyful, and it really affects change for I always say for at least a year, 6 months to a year, you will notice changes happening in your life that's connected to your experience in Egypt. But many will come back to me and say, it just keeps on going. It just keeps happening.
Yeah, I was going to say, or for the rest of your life.
Or for the rest of your life. A lot of people just keep coming back like we did. Yeah. Well, I came to live. A lot of people come to live too.
I keep coming back because there is just something about reconnecting on a deep, hidden and mystery level with the energies that are there, where you don't even fully know what's happening, but you know that something really important is happening, and that this very deep remembrance of the mystery and magic is coming back into us. And we can't always understand with the mind what's going on, right? This is really a part of it, but these things start moving through us, and our heart shifts and changes, and our priorities shift and change, and we are coming back into alignment with what they knew at these times 3,000, 5,000, 10,000 or more years ago. And the understanding they had of reality then, that's what enters into you. And I think that's what really begins to just shift and change everything, because we want to be in alignment with that. It truly, it feels amazing to be in alignment with that, because it's the truth of who we truly are. And it's peeling away all the layers of conditioning and forgetting and illusions, that have been layered on over the last several thousand years, peeling that away and coming back to our power and our truth. So you will want more once you're
Yeah,
there.
beautifully spoken. That's exactly it. It's undeniable. And it is so magical. I will still not forget my first moments on the Giza Plateau. And one of the guides, one of the people on the site, one of the vendors came up and said, "Are you happy?" And he didn't realize just how happy I was. Euphoric. I mean, there I was on the Giza Plateau. It was just unbelievable. And I
So,
didn't even know what was coming.
right,
It just
right.
kept
Just
getting
to get it.
better.
There are a couple questions here. Do you have a couple minutes, Patricia,
Oh,
to
sure,
take the
absolutely.
questions?
I can't see the chat. If I hit chat, will I see them?
Yeah, you should be able to see it. There's a lot in there, though. I can tell you what the remaining, and I answered several of them, but somebody was asking how many people are we expecting to be on the tour? I know you lead these all the time. So what do you think is the estimate at this point?
I think, boy, it could be anywhere. I'm thinking we'll probably keep it definitely to one large bus. So we could be 30 of us, maybe 40 of us together. Um, I know we're already gathering some really wonderful people, so a great group is forming. And I have to put out there that venues and the boats are filling up. So if you feel you want to come, register, open the lines of communication, open with us, and we can keep you informed. If it gets to the point where due dates are moving up because we only have so many spaces left, things like that. But yeah, it's not going to be this huge group of 100 people. It's funny. I do tours. I've had 166 people on a tour, and we bonded. It was crazy. But we have some tours that are 50 to 70 people or 75. People bond no matter what the size of the group is. Smaller groups, every group has its own magic and energy that they make. I always feel that the group itself makes things happen as we go. It's the energy of the people there and what they hope to experience that opens doors that aren't always open. And we always just go, wow. Never did that before, but you guys made this happen. So yeah, I always just say it is going to be whatever it is. I've done tours with one person. I've done tours with 5, 8. We did it during COVID in 2020, and what do we have? Four of you and me. There were 5 of us, yeah. So, and wasn't that fantastic? So
That was my first experience. It was quite amazing to be that close.
well,
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Well, and I think what you said is really important, Patricia, that if you're seriously considering it, let us know, reach out, because we do need to start reserving the hotels and the tour, the boat and everything like that. So we do need to get an idea as soon as we can of the size of things. So I know you have a whole team managing that, but if everybody who's listening, if you're really considering it, please do reach out and let us know, or go ahead and put your deposit down. Of course, that's the very best way to let us know for sure. And that way we can calculate more accurately.
Yeah, definitely. That it really will make a difference. And I have an administrative assistant, Ildi Badai. She'll be the one corresponding with you regularly, and I am copied in on everything, and I keep Jocelyn informed. So, we will, open lines like Jocelyn said, for corresponding, answering your questions, always available.
And what's the best place to submit questions? I mean, anybody in Sacred Planet community can certainly write to me at hello@wearesacredplanet.com. But Patricia, on your side of things, where's the best email to reach out to?
Best email?
Yeah, or the best way to reach out, however you would prefer. Michelle was asking if we have questions later on, where can we submit them?
Depending on what format you're in, I'm on Facebook. You can find me there and send me on Messenger. You can, there are email addresses on the website. My personal email address, I have 2 website email addresses, but my personal one is really direct to me, and it's Morgana, Uh,
I'll put it in the chat.
Yeah, Morgana, Morgana36 at AOL.com. But Jocelyn's putting it in the chat. I see here somebody asked about vaccinations. There are no restrictions to enter Egypt right now. So keep that in mind. And if you live in the US, there's no restrictions coming back. So every country's different. But most European countries are open now, and Egypt is completely open now. So no worries about that. We didn't really, well, I'm not going to talk about that now, but yeah, life is totally back to normal here.
It's a whole different reality over there. It's amazing. I went for my first time in January of 2021 was when I first went to Egypt with Patricia, and everybody here in the US was in total fear and just locked in their houses pretty much, and then I went there and everybody was out, going to restaurants and tea shops, and it was amazing. It was just incredible. It was like, wow, I stepped into a whole different reality. So
I was so happy to be in Egypt because we had a couple of months, 2 months, I think, where we had curfews. We had to be home at a certain time, like 8 o'clock at night. But they didn't shut down the markets and the malls and the things like that. We restaurants were closed for a little bit, then he opened them fairly fast, and our life has been normal. And I didn't see a lot of people getting, people. I didn't see people actually even getting like a flu until maybe December of 2020. And then, people got the flu, but I didn't see much more, anything that was really serious. But that, again, Egypt seemed to be in a little bubble. I do know people, I don't want to make light of it because I do know it was experienced much differently in other places in the world.
It just seemed to me in Egypt, there was not fear about it, and that made a really big difference. Made a really big difference.
That and there's a lot of old remedies here. People really started, they eat good food here, beans, and I hate to go into detail, but they eat
fruit and vegetables. Yeah,
very healthy foods here. And they have the healthy honey, and they have the black seed oil, and people just went to these kind of things. So yeah, I think it's a different mentality. And again, like you said, people just weren't afraid.
Yeah. Well, the food is incredible in Egypt. I feel like it's a blend between Mediterranean and African, Moroccan kind of. It just really, really incredible food, and it's just delicious everywhere that we go. So you can look forward to that, and the people are just so wonderful and warm-hearted. So additional benefits.
Somebody ask? I'm getting lost in questions.
Yeah, Lynn has a question about finding someone to share a room, but I think the best thing then is to register, and your team will match her up with somebody, right?
Yeah, we do it on a first come, first served basis, so that when you send in your registration, there's actually a box to check off that if you want a roommate or if you want a single room. And I think you can even say if you want double beds or, however you want your room configured. And if you don't come with a roommate, we will try and match you with one. It's just has to be understood that if we can't, then there is a single supplement. So we do our best. We literally do our best. So it's not often that we can't find a roommate for someone.
Yeah. Okay. Well, very good. I think that's all the questions. And I know I do need to run at this point, but
okay.
Wonderful. Thank you, Patricia, for sharing all this.
Thank you, Jocelyn. It was such fun.
Yes, been always such a pleasure to talk with you, and I can't wait to be there with you in March. It'll be.
I know we are going to have such a great time. And just a quick note, when we get this up on YouTube, I think it's going to be on both our channels. If you want to ask questions, ask it in the comments.
Yes,
because I will check and I will do my best to answer all your questions there too. So lots of different ways to do that.
That's a great idea. And then, if one person has a question, usually 10 other people have the same question. So that way everybody can see the answers. That's
what I like about it. Exactly. So yeah, perfect.
Beautiful. Okay. Well, thank you, Patricia. Thank you for all your wisdom that you bring and your beautiful presence. I just love sharing all of this with you. So thank you.
Thank you.
All
Thank
right.
everyone.
Yeah, thank you everybody for attending. And if you're watching this as a recording later, thank you as well. Hope you enjoyed it so much. And just reach out to us if you have any questions at all about the tour. We hope to see you there. Lots of
Awesome.
love, everybody. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.